Something absolutely huge is happening in global finance right now. And it's not taking place in some stuffy government building or on a chaotic trading floor. Nope, it's happening on the internet. A whole new digital money system is being built from the ground up, and honestly, it has the power to completely redraw the map of global power.
Okay, so let's really get into this. The future of money is, frankly, up for grabs. You've got these incredibly powerful forces pulling in completely opposite directions. But to really understand where we're headed, we first have to look back and figure out why the system we have today is, well, so broken. I mean, if you've ever tried to send money to another country, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It feels like you're using technology from a different century. It's slow, it's ridiculously expensive, and you're often left wondering where your money even is.
What's going on behind the scenes is this hidden, unbelievably complicated journey. Your money isn't just going from point A to point B. It's hopping between a whole series of correspondent banks. Think of them as middlemen, who each take a slice of the pie and slow everything down. That's why a simple transfer can take days to clear. This system just wasn't built for our modern internet-speed world.
And look, this isn't just a small annoyance. It's such a massive drag on the entire global economy that the G20, we're talking the world's biggest economies, has made fixing it a top priority. They've set these really ambitious goals to finally overhaul this creaky old infrastructure.
So what's the fix? Well, this is where digital currencies come in, and they offer a complete teardown and rebuild of the whole system. By using tech like shared digital ledgers, which is basically a super secure, transparent record book that everyone can trust, they can just bypass that whole chain of middlemen banks. The promise here is just enormous, making global payments as instant, cheap, and easy as sending an email. And you better believe this potential has kicked off a global race.
And in this race to build the new tracks for global finance, two very, very different contenders have emerged. And each one has a completely different vision for how money should work in the 21st century.
On one side, you've got China's e-CNY, their digital yuan. This is a top-down project completely controlled by the state, and it was designed with a very clear geopolitical goal, to build an alternative to the US dollar system. And then on the other side, you have dollar-backed stablecoins. These are digital tokens created by private companies, built to always be worth exactly $1. They run on open networks, and they're having the exact opposite effect. They're actually making the dollar's role in the world even stronger. Two models, two totally different endgame.
And this, right here, sets up the central drama of this whole story. As we rocket into this new digital age, is the US dollar's long reign at the top finally coming to an end? Or, and this is the crazy part, is it accidentally about to become more powerful than ever? To really get the stakes here, you have to appreciate just how dominant the dollar is right now. It's the world's main reserve currency, which gives the US what people have called an exorbitant privilege. We're talking everything from lower borrowing costs to the incredible power of financial sanctions. So any challenge to that dominance is a huge deal.
And the challenge is absolutely real. China is actively pushing its digital yuan for international trade, especially with all of its partners in the huge Belt and Road Initiative. The end goal is to build a parallel financial system that makes the world less dependent on the dollar and, this is key, makes countries less vulnerable to US sanctions. So that's one narrative, right? The big, state-led challenge. But while governments are strategizing and debating, something else is happening. Something much more organic, bubbling up from the private market all around the world. Just look at the explosive world of stablecoins. It is almost entirely a US dollar game. It's pretty staggering. 99% of all these private digital currencies are pegged to the dollar. Now, this isn't some government policy. This is the free market, on a global scale, casting a massive vote of confidence in the dollar as the anchor for this new digital economy. And this has kicked off this powerful trend called digital dollarization. Again, this isn't a government telling people what to do. This is a grassroots movement. You have people and businesses in countries with crazy high inflation or unstable currencies who are choosing to use these dollar-backed stablecoins because it's a safer way to save and do business. So while China is pushing its currency from the top down, the dollar is being pulled into the future from the bottom up. It's wild. The US is strengthening its monetary power almost by accident.
Of course, all this money flying around the globe at the speed of light, it creates a massive headache for regulators. I mean, think about it. A single transaction can zip across a dozen borders in a second. How do you even begin to apply national rules to that? It's almost impossible.
So, to try and get a handle on this, international groups like the Financial Stability Board are working on global standards. And their guiding principle is actually beautifully simple. Same activity, same risk, same regulation. In other words, if a new digital thing acts like a bank deposit, we should probably regulate it like a bank deposit. The hard part, though, is getting every single country to agree and play by the same rules.
But, getting the rules right isn't just a technical problem for bureaucrats to solve. It gets to the very heart of a much bigger, more human question. What does all this new technology actually mean for people? Is it going to forge new connections and lift people up? Or is it just going to make the divides that already exist even deeper?
This technology really presents us with two completely different futures. The potential for good is, it's immense. For the 1.7 billion people who don't even have a bank account, a digital currency on a simple mobile phone could be absolutely life-changing. But, and this is a huge but, all of that promise depends on people having reliable internet, stable electricity, and a smartphone. Things the world's poorest often go without. If we're not careful, we could risk creating a brand new and maybe even more permanent form of financial exclusion.
So as we look to the future, it's probably not going to be a simple story of the dollar winning or the yuan winning. The outcome is likely to be way more complex and a lot more fractured than the system we have today. Instead of one single global system, what we're probably seeing is the beginning of new tech-defined currency blocks. You could have a US-led block built on this really vibrant private ecosystem of dollar stablecoins, then a competing China-led block centered around its state-controlled digital yuan, and maybe even a third European bloc trying to find its own way with the digital euro. The lines on the world's financial map are literally being redrawn right before our eyes.
And that brings us to the final critical question. We are re-architecting the very foundation of how value moves around our planet. So is the system we build going to be more open, more inclusive, and more connected? Or will we end up using this incredible new technology to just build new digital walls between us? The answer? Well, it's still being written.